evening and welcome to another McMuscles Midnight Massacre, Chapter 2. And here on parle français.
On parle français. You're so cute when you speak French.
I try.
You do pretty well. Mais on parle français parce que the movie that we're reviewing, the scene is set en France.
I was gonna say it's not a French movie.
It's not a French movie by any means.
But it's
wearing
probably
a beret like an asshole though.
It's probably the only one that I think that we'll be doing that even takes place remotely in France or is French, maybe.
We haven't watched them all yet.
Yeah, it is Overlord. It's from a few years ago now.
2018. And
we saw about a zillion trailers.
So many trailers. And the trailers were so misleading. Going into one of my likes, but anyways. The trailers, like, to be honest, I was like...
I was super into that.
I'm not into it. I'm like, it just seemed like it was going to be so much, like, weird action, like, a lot of action heavy.
Do you know what you thought it was? You thought it was going to be Frankenstein's army.
Yes, exactly.
Do you remember that? Which was incomprehensible.
It was a hot mess, that movie. So I thought it was going to be like that, so I was like, oh god, I'm so not down for that, but we were, like, so stoked about it.
So, I actually watched about the first half hour, 35 minutes or whatever of Overlord on a plane ride from a con, and you were watching something else. Or
we do not talk on planes.
Yeah. That's our time.
Yeah.
Separately. So I watched it and I was like, wow, this is actually really tense and really good.
Yeah. And then it landed and it cut you off, right?
Literally landed when I started it. I don't know why.
So that's why you were even more gun-ho. You're like, I want to see what happens. Right?
So it got added to Netflix, and then I was like, well, let's do it. So
it's our time.
You were not that into the idea of from the trailers you just mentioned. Well, we watched it and we actually, let's go into it. This takes place on the night...
Eve of D-Day.
Eve of D-Day. And
a small group of American soldiers are sent to France.
A platoon.
To do a mission, to destroy a tower. Do something that's gonna, like, interrupt the comm, so it'll get D-Day to, like, happen.
Do a military thing.
thing.
But aside from the military thing, there's something else going on in this near this French town.
Is there weird Nazi scientist experiments happening? Okay, so this is one of Matt's favorite tropes, things, genres, subgenres.
Ever since playing Wolfenstein,
You're like obsessed with weird Nazi scientists doing experiments.
Nazis, great villain. There can always be.
What's worse than a Nazi?
Not much.
You know what I mean?
But what's worse, or what's a better villain to fight in your fiction? Nazis that are into the occult, or like raising the dead.
Like they're trying to find the secret of life.
Using supernatural
the ultimate
shit.
soldier.
Yeah.
Like they all have an agenda.
Yeah.
So you love that.
So I think that's such a great, fun... I love mixing mythology and supernatural stuff with history.
Yes, that's what we were saying. One of our likes is taking an event, an actual historical event, and putting like a spin on it of like things that could have happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Plausibly, like this could have all happened.
It might have, because I think there's some type of history behind Hitler being like, well, I need like one-ups.
Yeah.
I need power-ups to fucking win this war because I'm not great at it.
I'm not a great person.
So I need to find some supernatural.
No, he never said that. He loves
either it be the Spear of Destiny or like genetic manipulation or getting going behind the veil and getting demons from dimensions. I think that's great.
Whatever you want to do, boo.
Yeah.
Like, you know. So that's the thing. They're on the plane. It opens up like they're flying to they're like this place in France. We're like, we gotta go like fuck up this tower and help us tomorrow. Yeah. And then right away there's like grosse explosion. Y a tout un drame qui arrive. Like the people die. Grey Worm is there. Then he's dead. And then Euron Greyjoy. He's someone else. But anyways, a lot of Game of Throners. I think it was like their summer off and they could film a movie.
I bet you that's exactly.
And they were like, well, this is what we're gonna do in this movie. But like. Whatever. So there were some characters that got introduced, and there was like the main guy who was like their, I don't want to say captain. I don't know, not Charlie Hunnam.
I think it was
Sergeant. The not Sons of Anarchy guy.
Sergeant, maybe
Sergeant. That looked like him. I think they could call him that. And he was really like laser focused on like, I don't care what happens.
We have to destroy this tower. Shit's going on.
I don't give a fuck if there's a baby dying. He's like, we gotta do this mission. He was like very mission focused.
So and there's that guy, and then the rest.
There's the main guy, Boyce.
there's the rest of the platoon, Boyce, and then there's like, you know, some hangers-on or whatever, and they're all kind of a motley crew. We don't get into them that much, but basically we have to destroy the tower. But there's a side mission that is opened up, which is stop these Nazis from experimenting on the local village people.
Yeah.
Well, they live in the village.
They meet Chloe. They meet this girl in the forest after their plane gets shot down, and they're trying to like whatever, get themselves together.
Regroup is what you want to say.
Yeah. And like try and get the mission on its way. And she's like scavenging.
She's just in the forest, whatever. And she's like, come back to my house for ratatouille, and then she's gonna...
Not really, but they're like, we're coming to your house, bitch. She's like, okay, whatever. And then like, you know, they're trying to like get the mission on the way.
Yeah, and she tells them about there's some
going on.
There's some creepy shit going on
in the church. Dans l'église, il y a des choses qui se passent, whatever. And
I think the only thing we'll say about the plot after that is that very quickly, no, you're fine. That a Nazi commander is introduced. And he stops by. What? Yeah, Euron Greyjoy. Yes, I was like, who's Euron? I'm like, the guy in the last 2 seasons.
What is this? A 1,000-year army. These 1,000-year soldiers.
It was, you know, props to him. He's doing a German, trying to speak French. You know, we're gonna do.
He did it.
He did.
Yeah. So he's kind of introduced as kind of our main villain, but
yeah, pretty much.
And that basically like kicks off from the story there. So we already kind of were touching on some things we liked. Yeah, what else did you?
We liked that it was, like I said, most of the acting was pretty good. It was shot pretty well.
Yeah,
Your favorite trope was there.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, it was, for me, based on what I saw in the trailers, I thought it was going to be really just like nonsensical action. There was a lot more character development and storyline development than I thought there would be.
A lot of morals for a bunch of the characters.
Yeah, well, like, especially the main guy, where he was very like, his moral compass was like so strong, but then he does other stuff, but then he sells. It's very strange. Okay, his development, his journey.
He's cool with some things, and then
some things are not okay. Some things are okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was not just like mindless, cool, like demon-y Nazi soldier things. I'm not saying that's what it was. That's what I thought it was going to be.
It actually had very little, like compared to what the trailer kind of showed.
And that was good too. Like the effects are, I think, more practical. They were actually pretty well done. There were obviously some CGI too, but like It was actually really impressive. It was more of a developed story than I thought it would be, and that took me back.
Even though it's actually a really simple story,
it is still simple.
They made a lot out of it
because it wasn't just, like I said, like mindless, like hordes of undead Nazis. Like we've seen this, and it was just, again, I had like less than zero expectations, so that's why when I watched it, I was like, no, it's pretty good.
So when I watched that first half hour, that's when I was kind of like insistent we should watch this for the Massacre, and I thought you would at least like, you know, not like dislike it because it was like a tense story or whatever. I mean, I generally I liked it too, but like there were a couple of things that I was surprised at, that it did hold its hand. It did hold
your hand.
It did hold like a lot of action and stuff towards the very end. Like it had a lot of just tense scenes about like what's going to happen next or whatever. But the thing, because honestly, we've kind of already talked about a lot of what we did like, but I kind of just wanted to get what I disliked. Dislike is like the last like 20 minutes is just kind of a really generic, let's infiltrate the church and let's fight a few things, and then there's going to be a climactic showdown. It didn't flow that well. Like it felt like a very distinct movie where it had a big chunk that felt like this, and then the last chunk felt like that, and they kind of didn't.
You were saying like the third act had too much action, just like action, and not really.
And I don't even mean that in like a.
Because there's always a lot of action in the last act of things, right? That's like par for the course.
There is, but I kind of was preferring the movie beforehand. Like, I thought they had little spurts of action here and there.
Yeah, no, they were just spurts, and then at the end it was just like a big bomb of action.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like, even something like the next thing that's closest to this, like Inglourious Bastards, doesn't really have action in the traditional sense. Has these little, like, 1 minute bursts of things happening.
Like and super violent
and
things.
even the last action scene is like 1 or 2 minutes of a bunch of people shooting, whereas this tried to cram a lot in the end, and I kind of thought it felt like a little
too much, like overkill.
It was kind of like, oh shit! It almost felt like some producer or some.
It was like there wasn't enough action.
Yeah, like people
end.
want it, but I was preferring the movie up till that point, and I kind of thought that while L'Oreal Greyjoy, whatever his name is,
Oriel, forgot his name.
He is a villain in the movie, but
he starts off being like a lame ass.
He gets his ass kicked, like, you know, a little bit, and then they kind of try to make him, position him as, like, this big bad guy. I'm like, no.
We already know you're stupid. Like, we already know you're kind of a puss. So,
yeah, it's like bad wrestling.
Oh, and the other thing I just remembered, we were saying the practical effects were good, because I read later that some things were used with, like, marionettes, and, like, they did a lot of cool shit with, like, I don't want to give away stuff, but, like, some of the gore effects were really well done and well done practical effects.
You know, I didn't expect that out of the movie. I thought there'd be tons of CG, and of course there was.
And one thing we just like, I forgot Le Petit Gosse.
Le Petit Gosse.
Le Petit Gosse. C'est quoi son nom là? There was this little kid. Pierre, quelque chose, I don't know what. And then he was there was this one scene at the end where he just runs into a fire zone. He's like, mais qu'est-ce qui se passe? He was just like, and we're all like, dude, you survived so much. All these people are trying to save you. Yeah. You know, there's a big to-do about saving this child's life. And then he runs into a firefight.
I laughed so hard when you yelled that. Cause
I started screaming.
But here's the thing. Here's why it's so fucking stupid. Is because this kid knows war is happening.
Yes! He hears bullets! And, like, he was in the crazy lab. He's seen some shit. So then he's, like, runs into the middle of like a literal firefight. And he's like, mais qu'est-ce qui se passe?
And he's looking like
he's looking like he's confused, and we were just like, no, this child, like.
So the movie has a conclusion not too far after that, and it kind of sets itself up for a soft sequel, maybe. They were like, the war still continues, but because it's based on World War II, it's like, yeah, they could get a sequel, they could not. It'll depend, but it wasn't the most satisfying ending, but I guess it can't if it's based a little bit on World War II. You know, what they did wasn't against history. You know what I mean?
They didn't fuck it up.
Unlike Inglourious Basterds, which took a very different route. But this was kind of like, well, let's stay the course a little bit. And I was kind of like, oh, well, it's almost one of those things where I wish there was a bit more to it in the end, because I kind of want to see more, because the acting was so good.
It was
the tension in most of the movie was like, you know, really, really intense, and I was just like, oh, well, I almost want to see, I do want to kind of see a sequel, but at the same time,
what are they gonna do? It was D-Day. It's over.
Yeah, fight Hitler. Hitler in his mecha suit. You know. What do you? How do you feel about it overall?
I feel like I would recommend it, and if you're hesitant, like, please listen to me. It's pretty good. You know, I did not want to watch this movie at all.
It's on Netflix, so there's not much
What's
reason.
The harm? No, just do it.
And it's just basically Wolfenstein the movie. If you just called this Wolfenstein, I'd be like, yeah, that can be a story. You know, it works in that regard. There's no B.J. Blazkowicz, but like when I liked him in the movie, sure. But still, I recommend it too. Mm-hmm. Like we said, it's on Netflix, so there's really no reason not to. But yeah, Overlord. Did we look that up? Why is that a title?
Yeah,
weren't you asking about that? You were like, what does Overlord even mean in like a military?
Explained, and we didn't pay attention.
I don't think they did.
Please yell at us in the comments for not knowing why it's called Overlord.
I guess. That's another McMuscles Midnight Massacre Chapter 2 in the bag. Stay till tomorrow night, and we'll do another movie for y'all.
What does it say in French for cheers? Salut? No. Salut is Italian.
Campa, I believe.
Santé! Santé! To your health.
Santé!